Hello everyone, what is up? We are back with another Sim Series PC F1 video. So in the point standings, after race 1 it is Charles Leclerc, Sergio Perez, Max Verstappen, Carlos Sainz, Lewis Hamilton, Fernando Alonso, George Russell, Lance Stroll, Lando Norris, Oscar Piastri in your top 10. And then it is Valtteri Bottas, Pierre Gasly, Esteban Ocon, Nico Hulkenberg. Who's he again? Okay, Alexander Albon, Daniel Ricciardo, Kevin Magnussen, Yuki Tsunoda, uh, Guan Yu Zhu, and Logan Sargent after he DNF'd in a weird fashion that I've never seen. But that was really fun to do. You're going to see more of this. A lot more of this. So, yeah, and then in the owner standings, it's Ferrari, Red Bull, Mercedes, Aston Martin, McLaren, Alpine, Alfa Romeo, Haas F1 team, AlphaTauri, and Williams. So we're going to get started with the Bahrain Grand Prix. And starting off in the lead is Sergio Perez. Sergio gets a nice jump. And who's behind him? It is Charles Leclerc, Lando Norris, and George Russell, Lewis Hamilton. Max Verstappen again in 9th place. He hasn't been really good at qualifying this season. And Charles Leclerc, your new leader. Who will lead lap 1 in qualifying? I don't know yet. We'll see. It'll be Charles Leclerc. And Charles, we'll see. Can he win the pole award? Or will someone behind him maybe clutch up and have a really good lap? Oh, here comes Sergio Perez. Sergio Perez right behind him. We'll see. Will it be enough? Can Sergio, if Sergio beats him on this lap, Sergio will win the pole. They are super tight. Sergio Perez and Charles Leclerc. Who will it be down to the line? Sergio Perez will win the pole. That's big, man. Sergio Perez winning the pole award. That's really big. Is that his second pole? I think that is. That's crazy. Alright, so yes. Oh, it's Lewis Hamilton. That's weird. Lewis Hamilton wins the pole. Then it's Charles Leclerc and Sergio Perez. I was not expecting that. George Russell, Lando Norris, Carlos Sainz, Fernando Alonso, Lance Stroll, Max Verstappen, and Oscar Piastri. And then in the back, it is Pierre Gasly, Esteban Ocon, Valtteri Bottas, Alexander Albon, Nico Hulkenberg, Daniel Ricciardo, Logan Sargent trying to bounce back after that tough DNF, Kevin Magnussen, Yuki Tsunoda, or whatever it is, and what's his name again? Guan Yu Zhu. Alrighty. We're ready to get started in this Bosnian Grand Prix. I think it's Bosnia, right? Yeah. So Lewis Hamilton starting in first place. He gets a really good jump on Charles Leclerc. Probably because Charles is actually on hards, along with Carlos Sainz, Max Verstappen, Nico Hulkenberg, Daniel Ricciardo, and Logan Sargent. Looks like the Ferraris deciding to take a team effort on hards. The Red Bulls are not team efforting it though. Lewis with a really big lead on George Russell. Along with Sergio Perez, Lance Stroll, Charles Leclerc, Lando Norris, Carlos Sainz, Piastri, and where is Verstappen? Verstappen all the way down in 13th place. He's having a really bad race. Sitting in 13th, he is really... he's just not on the pace today. As Lewis is still out in front, George Russell in second. And then who? There's Sargent. Yeah, these guys are already struggling in the back. And it is Lewis Hamilton in the lead. He's going to stay out for another lap. George Russell, his teammate, will come in, along with Norris, Piastri, Ocon, Gasly, and Albon. And Magnussen, Zhu, and Tsunoda will come out. Lewis Hamilton still out in front, along with Sergio Perez, Lance Stroll, Charles Leclerc, last race winner, and Carlos Sainz. He's going to pull a move on his teammate and pass him up. Here's Sergio Perez in second, and it's Lewis Hamilton coming down to pit. Who will win this race? Will it be... It'll be Charles Leclerc as he stays out another lap. But other than Charles, it'll be Lewis Hamilton beating out George Russell, Lando Norris. So this is the real race. We're just going to ignore Charles Leclerc. Lewis Hamilton leading other than Charles Leclerc. And he's really making time up on Leclerc. Leclerc is really slow. Seeing the tires he is on, he has no grip left. Here comes Lewis Hamilton. Lewis is going to try to make the move on him. Kenny, not yet. He's going to try to use him up. No. And here comes Charles. So yeah, that move for Leclerc does not really work, as he'll come out really far behind in this race. Oh, there's Verstappen. He's up to 8th. He'll come out in 10th place. Last race winner. Not good for the number 16 machine. Oh, there's Alonso. Bottas. Of course, Ricardo. Gasly not running too good. And where is last race's DNF is in 19th, and we are really far off the pace. Alright, and it is Sergio Perez in the lead. He passes Lewis Hamilton up. And the race for the win is super tight. But just who has better tires? They have about the same. Sergio has a tiny bit better tires than Lewis. Then Lance doesn't have that good, and George does not have that good of tires. So the battle right here for the lead. Sergio Perez, and there I am. Really slow this weekend. The driver, at least I'm representing, Sonoda, but he's doing his own thing. And he's gonna get passed up easy. Oh, oh yeah. Okay, so yeah, him and Hamilton are on those hard tires. So is Russell, Norris, and Sainz, and they come down pit road. And Lance is still sitting in 3rd place. So it is really not a close fight. Because, yeah, 7 seconds behind Lewis Hamilton and Sergio Perez. Yeah, not exactly what they were looking for. And then Verstappen is in 10th place. There goes Zhu. He's actually behind Sonoda, but that's because he didn't pit. And look at that. The leaders right there. Perez and Hamilton. Will Stroll beat them off? Yes. No, he will not beat all of them. Stroll will move into 2nd place. And he'll easily pass that hard-tired Sergio Perez. And now Lance Stroll is your new leader. Lance for the Aston Martin team. But here comes Sergio Perez back to pass them up. And it is a really big fight, as we're going to ride on board with Lewis Hamilton in this really big battle for the lead between George Russell, Sergio Perez, Lance Stroll, and Lewis Hamilton. Lance comes down in his soft tires. That's probably a good idea. There's Carlos Sainz and Lando Norris. But it is, at 9 of 20, it is George Russell leading this race. Your pole sitter, and there is trouble. And wow, Perez almost just spun the car out as he did not know where to go, as lap traffic is getting in the way. Magnussen is getting in the way of this race. But it is Perez, Russell, Hamilton, your top 3. Sainz and Norris. Sainz is going to come down, so that'll make Verstappen in 5th. Nope, Lance in 5th. Stroll's going to take 5th place. So there's yet Norris. A slow Sargent will get passed up. Hamilton and Russell fighting. This is the battle for 2nd out of teammates, and Hamilton will get the position on Russell. Russell's going to try to get it back. Russell will get it back. As he's on worse tires, he'll be coming down. And so will Hamilton. The teammates come down. Your leader, Sergio Perez, really having a great race. He's been on the pace this whole time, and he's hoping to keep that up, as he finds himself again with lap traffic. Sonoda up ahead. Not far behind, as he's right there. Who's behind Perez? It's Lance Stroll, George Russell, and Lewis Hamilton. Carlos Sainz in 5th place, and then it's Lando Norris. Max Verstappen gonna try to make the move. He will make the move on him for 6th place. And there goes Sergio Perez. He loses the lead to George Russell. There goes George Russell, now your new leader. Oh boy, oh boy. George Russell, Sergio Perez, and Lewis Hamilton, your top four, really putting on a show. And Carlos Sainz is not far behind. He's catching up to these leaders. Having a good race after winning. He won, right? I'm not crazy. No, was it Charles Leclerc? I think it was Leclerc, actually. Leclerc? Did Leclerc win? I don't remember. Well, we'll see afterwards. I actually don't remember who won that first race. If it was Leclerc or Sainz. I think it was actually Leclerc. So if it was Leclerc, he's having a really bad race. And George Russell's still out in front. And Lewis Hamilton! He'll fall off the track as he has really no tires left. Driving those softs. He'll have to come down. As he does. Stroll gonna move into third. Sainz coming down. That'll make... Oh! Everyone is coming down now. And Hulkenberg will get in the way of them too. There goes Leclerc. I think last race winner actually. I believe it was Charles Leclerc who won. I think it actually was. I don't think it was whoever that other guy was. But out in front, Sergio Perez and George Russell. Sergio still staying out another lap as he'll pass the Alpine car of Esteban Ocon, who is sitting in 13th, and he's gonna try to keep making the move there. A big fight between a lap car and the leader. It's just because he's on really bad tires, so he's really trying, but he just can't seem to get the pass on. And that is a good way to work Esteban up the track. And then in second is Lewis Hamilton. He'll easily pass Sergio. Not a good idea staying out. And yeah, Carlos will almost pass, but he won't. And yeah, 2 seconds behind George Russell is Sergio Perez. And then it's George Russell and Lewis Hamilton. Now your two leaders. The teammates leading out Mercedes, having a really good second race as it's 16 of 20. They will need to come down at least once more. Question is, when do they? George Russell comes down. That'll make Lewis Hamilton your leader. I feel like Lewis should have came down, as he had even worse tires than George. It is not a good idea staying out, as he sees Esteban right in front of him. We're gonna see what good of tires Esteban is on. Esteban, sitting in 11th place, is also probably gonna have to come down. And there goes Lewis Hamilton, as we're just gonna go back to about 4th, 3rd, Lance Stroll, George Russell, Sergio Perez right there in second. He will easily now pass Lewis Hamilton. Question is, does George Russell pass Lewis Hamilton? Yes, easily. Lewis falling down to 3rd, 4th place because of that Lance Stroll machine, which also has to come down. Sergio no longer has to come down. Can Sergio Perez win race 2? He just has to hold off these guys. And look at Sargent. He's having actually a way better race than last race after DNFing. Sergio Perez, your leader. Coming down to 2 to go. Sergio will be staying out till the end of this race, I think. I don't think he'll have to pit on the last lap. Actually, his tires are looking really bad. And he's got George Russell just behind him on still bad tires. But Lewis is on really good tires. Can Lewis Hamilton catch up? As he's on really good tires, he's got Sargent lap traffic blocking him. That is not what he needs. 3rd place, Lewis Hamilton. Can he catch up? I don't know. Here's Lewis. He's catching up to George really fast. And he's going to pass George Russell with ease. His teammate, he blows by George Russell. And now he's got Sergio Perez on the last lap. It is Lewis Hamilton and Sergio Perez for the win. Sergio's in the dirt. Sergio is in the sand. Here comes Lewis Hamilton. He's on just a bit better tires. And Sergio's even on slower tires because they're hard. Here comes Lewis Hamilton. He's got 1 turn left to make this work. No, never mind. He's got like 4. Here comes Lewis Hamilton. He's just right behind Sergio Perez. He's right there. Here comes Lewis Hamilton down to the final corner. It'll be Sergio Perez to win the race. Wait, no! Yes, it will. Sergio Perez barely beating out Lewis Hamilton. Lance Stroll in third, George Russell in fourth, Carlos Sainz will take fifth, Verstappen in sixth, Norris will take seventh, Leclerc, I believe last race winner, takes eighth, Fernando Alonso ninth, Piastri will take another 10th place, Ocon a slow 11th, 16 seconds behind Piastri, 17, a big gap there. That is it. Sergio Perez, by like 0.07, beats Lewis Hamilton. Lewis Hamilton's pit strategy almost works out for him, but in the end, it just was not enough. It was not enough. Oh, wow. That was a crazy race. Crazy, man. Crazy. So, Perez, Hamilton, Stroll, Russell, Sainz, Verstappen, Norris, Leclerc, Alonso, Piastri, Ocon, then it was Gasly, Bottas, Albon, Hulkenberg, Ricciardo, Sargent, Magnussen, Zhu, and Tsunoda. So in the point standings, at the top, and yes, Charles Leclerc did win last race. Sergio Perez with 55, Lewis Hamilton 43, Charles Leclerc 42, Max Verstappen 38, Carlos Sainz 38, George Russell is at 34, Lance Stroll 34, Fernando Alonso 27, Lando Norris 25, Oscar Piastri is at 20 after 2 10th place in a row. It is Pierre Gasly at 16, Esteban Ocon at 16, Valtteri Bottas at 16, Nico Hulkenberg at 11, Alexander Albon at 11, Daniel Ricciardo at 8, Kevin Magnussen at 5, Logan Sargent at 3, Yuki Tsunoda at 2, and I keep forgetting his names, Guan Yu Zhu at 2. And here in the owner standings is Red Bull Racing at 93, Ferrari at 80, Mercedes at 77, Aston Martin at 61, McLaren at 45, Alpine at 32, Alfa Romeo at 18, Haas F1 team at 16, Williams at 14, and AlphaTauri at 10. After a crazy Bahrain GP and not as crazy other than that DNF Australian Grand Prix. Again, we take another look at the standings. Sergio Perez, Lewis Hamilton, Charles Leclerc, Max Verstappen, Carlos Sainz, George Russell, Lance Stroll, Fernando Alonso, Lando Norris, Oscar Piastri, of course. Then the two Alpines of Pierre Gasly and Esteban Ocon, Valtteri Bottas, Nico Hulkenberg, Daniel Ricciardo, Kevin Magnussen, Logan Sargent, Yuki Tsunoda, I'm not even going to say his first name. And then if we also look at the team, it would be Red Bull Racing, Mercedes, Ferrari, Red Bull Racing, Ferrari, Mercedes, the two Aston Martins, the two McLarens, the two Alpines, Alfa Romeo, Haas F1 team, Williams, AlphaTauri, Haas F1 team, Williams, AlphaTauri, and Alfa Romeo. So, yeah, that is it, folks, for episode 2. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you in the next one. Later.